Document.create method in JavaScript. In this video, you're going to learn what this method is, how it works, and then I'm going to show you some examples to put it all together. So the Document.create element is a method that you can access on the document object. And this document object is something that you get for free when you work in a JavaScript program. Since JavaScript runs in the browser will create this document object that kind of represents your web page, and then you can use this object and different methods on it. See my video on the DOM for further explanation on this document object. But the Document.createElement method is a method used on this document object that will allow you to create different elements that you can eventually add to the DOM. So the way that it works is that it will create an HTML element specified by the tag name that you pass in to this method. So you can call the create element method, and you call this on the document object, just like I'm doing here. And you don't need to create this document object anywhere in your program. You will get this for free, as the browser will create this document-like object. And then to this create element method, you pass in an argument. And this argument is going to be a string with the tag name of the element you want to create. So if I want to create a header element here in h1, then I will pass in the string h1. If I wanted to create a p tag here, I would pass in the string p. And same thing, if I wanted to create an a tag or a div or a span, you pass in the string tag name of the element you want to create. And then this Document.createElement method, it will return that element that you specified here. So this would return a span, and this would return an h1 element. Now, once you create an element, well, what this would represent effectively is just an empty pair of tags here. And, rarely are you just going to have an empty pair of tags within your program. You likely want some content within this pair of tags. So after you create an element, you likely are going to want to add some different classes to it, some different content to it, and so on and so forth. And I'll cover that more in future videos. But here, for just the sake of example, you can add some text content or something like that. And here I'm accessing my title element. So this is going to be this h1 element that's returned by Document.createElement. And on that element, I'm going to access the text content property, and I'm going to assign that property to the value of hello. And then once I add some content to this element that I created, then if you want to see it on the web page, you then need to add it to the web page. And I'll talk about appending and prepending different items to the web page a little bit more in future videos. But for the sake of example here, you might do something like you could access the body element of the web page, and then all you need to do is append the element you created to the web page. So this would then show this h1 element to my web page since I created it, added some content to it, and then appended it to the web page. But now let me take you to kind of a code sandbox and show you some examples of this. So here, what's going on here is I have a code sandbox, which basically allows me to just run an application. And then over on this page, I have my browser output of my code sandbox. So here in this example, you can see that what I do here is, so I get my kind of root element of my web page that has the ID of app. So all I'm doing here is I'm getting an element by its ID, and then I'm just storing that in a variable here, or this constant here. Now here on line 5, I create a new element, just like I did in my example. I call the Document.createElement method, and I pass in the string tag name. This returns an h1 that I assign to the label of title. And now I want to add some text content to that title. So I just assign the text content property here to the value of new element. And then I use my app element, kind of my root element of my application, and then I just append my new title element. And then you see with my browser output here, I get new element showing on the page. And then if I change my text content here to maybe the best YouTube channel, what you're going to see, if I refresh this here and I didn't mess anything up, you're going to see Code Ryan. So this allows me to create different elements here And then say I want to add a paragraph under. Well, I can use the createElements method. I can pass in the tag name of P, and then I can say P.text content is going to equal is a great YouTube channel. And then now I need to append my P tag to the DOM, and I will do that here. So if I go back to my output and I refresh this here, you can see that I have now added this P tag that says is a great YouTube channel. So this is a demonstration of how you can use that Document.createElement method to create different elements and then eventually append those elements to the web page after you've added some content to them or some classes to them and things like that. So the Document.createElement method is a method that you use on the document object that's created for you for free by the browser, and you can use it within your JavaScript programs. And this method accepts an argument. The argument should be a string that represents the element or the tag name of the element that you want to create. So h1, p, span, div, different things like that. And then that will return an HTML element corresponding to the tag name you pass. And then once you create the element, you can add some content to it and then eventually append it to the DOM. So hopefully that explains the createElement method for you. I'll definitely be discussing more document methods here in the future, but thanks for tuning in and I'll see you in that next one.